What's up, my Central Unit? Is the Central Man here, so back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. This time, we're traveling forward to 2001 to review King of the Ring 2001. This is the final King of the Ring under the World Wrestling Federation banner. This show was at the Continental Airlines Arena. Right now, it's called the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey, 24th of June 2001. The attendance of the show was 17,777. King of the Ring 01 drew about 445,000 pay-per-view buys, a bit of a slight drop off than the previous year's King of the Ring buy rate. King of the Ring 2000 drew about 475,000 pay-per-view buys. Anyway, the commentators for the show is Jim Ross and Paul Heyman. So, like I said at the start of the year, I'm reviewing these 2001 WWF shows I haven't reviewed yet. This show, King of the Ring, then Invasion, then SummerSlam, then Unforgiven, No Mercy. I think the UK pay-per-view was it Insurrection, I think it's called, then Survivor Series, and for the purpose of the series I'm going to do a revisiting review of Vengeance of 2001, because this year marks the 25th anniversary of the Invasion storyline. Anyway, so the biggest story going into the WWF at this time is Triple H, massive injury. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna get to the main event later on in this video. Anyway, so the quick result on Heat, you have Matt Hardy with Lita really defended and retained the European Championship against Just Incredible, one half of X Factor, because his brother Jeff is facing X-Pac on the main show. We'll get to that match later on in this video, and we get to the I'm going to get to the before we get to the matches on the show, I'm going to do this one, you could say, series of segments. I'll get these out of the way first, then review the matches. So, and also the biggest storyline going into this show is who is stalking the Undertaker's wife, Sarah. I know Americans call it Sarah, I'm from the UK, we pronounce it Sarah, but anyway, so, some mysterious person is filming the Undertaker's wife, and then you got this voice, with it, you can tell, there was, basically it's Vince McMahon's voice in the filter, and then all of a sudden we got this guy wearing a ski mask driving the Undertaker's motorcycle, and that person revealed to be Diamond Dallas Page. This is DDP's first appearance in a major mainstream wrestling promotion since WCW was out of business. Since it's probably a big cool. It's a big major coup. A big major coup to sign Diamond Dallas Page, an ex-former WCW World Champion. He beggins the Undertaker to make him famous. Anyway, he kind of cut this promo. Says, I know the Undertaker is pissed off, but he should have thanked DDP. He said the footage I show with your wife Sarah is rated PG. It's my personal collection. I give it more than a thumbs up. He said he's on top of the list. He said he's going to kick the big dog's ass in his yard. He said he's going to be the first WCW wrestler to step foot on Madison Square Gardens the next night. And also, he kind of calling Undertaker a take. He says, "Take, here's my tick it." That's a bit cringe. So he grabbed a sign says, "Make me famous." He says, I'm begging you, make me famous. He said I'm not hard to find, and he's at he got front row tickets to, if the Undertaker shows up, he kind of like shaking hands to the fans. He kind of wink, I'm guessing, towards the Undertaker and Sarah, and he kind of licking his lips or somewhere. So yeah, it was a big major call for signing DDP. First appearance in mainstream wrestling since WCW was closing. How was he? Is it a three-time WCW World Champion? I think he is. Maybe 4. I'm not too sure. But anyway, so minutes later, or really, like later on in the show, not minutes later, but like later. Trying to get my words out. Later on in the show, you had Paul Heyman interviewing Diamond Dallas Page. DDP says his actions between the Undertaker and his wife is a bit, was it Braskin? And DDP says, I had some balls. He's about to say more, and then suddenly you see footage of DDP. Like, there's 2 segments actually showing the footage of Diamond Dallas Page. I think it was in a diner or a cafe. Then he was in a car park. In those segments, he's getting pissed off. You think you're turning the table. You're not letting me get to me. Something like that. So pissed off, and then later on, he grabs the mic, says, he kind of calls out the Undertaker. Suddenly, we saw footage of DDP really walking into the arena before the show started. And then the person who's filming DDP is the Undertaker's wife, Sarah. It's me, it's Sarah. And he said to DDP, it's time to make you famous. Out comes the Undertaker. For Sarah, I don't find her attractive, to be honest. I find her very ugly. The storyline, the storyline, they'll do this similar storyline the following year between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. That's another story for another time. But, anyway, so out comes the Undertaker. Him and DDP had this brawl, but this is kind of like a one-sided brawl between the Undertaker and DDP. DDP had some offense of his own, like low blowing the Undertaker. I think he hit him with the chair, but it was so one-sided. The Undertaker's beating down DDP, beating him to a pulp, not a bloody pulp, just a pulp. And then you got Sarah grabbing, I think it was a camcorder. In our current timeline, people don't use camcorders. Maybe some people do, but most of them just film on their phones. Anyway, so Sarah got the camcorder, filming Undertaker beating the crap out of DDP. DDP left, he kind of fled, and that is the start of the rivalry between the Undertaker and DDP going into the summer of 2001. My thoughts going into this, I think this segment, some of these segments, this belong on Raw. I think these are the segments belongs on weekly wrestling television program, not on your pay-per-view at the time you spend money, because I said it in previous videos, I'm going to say it again, save it on weekly TV, man. Because the wrestling pay-per-views are designed to have the matches take center stage. It's just like seeing people throughout the whole show, well, not a whole show, but little bits of the show, seeing DDP getting pissed off, seeing someone recording his personal life, it led to nothing, just seeing DDP getting pissed off. And then, they seeing DDP getting beaten up, people want to see Undertaker beating down Diamond Dallas Page, but I think the momentum DDP has, I don't think he had any momentum going into this, is gone. I think they did him completely dirty. I don't want to get into full details of this. It's just I'm not. I wish DDP had some more of a fight, had some cheat shots. Maybe have DDP. I don't know. Maybe a breakup. Have fans or wrestlers breaking up the fight. You know, you can like save DDP's credibility, but this storyline probably did DDP in. You know, I'll get to more in depth about this, but yeah, like it was just a waste of time, poor treatment. You know, like you know, I think this is leading up to having Undertaker like DDP having like a one-sided rivalry. So anyway, let's get to the matches on the show. So the first match to kick off the 2001 King of the Ring pay-per-view, we got the first semi-final match of the 2001 King of the Ring tournament. We got Kurt Angle taking on Christian. By the way, we got like the semi-final bracket. We got members of Team Wreck. If you don't know who's Team Wreck is the team of Rhino, Edge, Christian, and Kurt Angle. Like Christian and Kurt Angle compete in the first semi-final match, and the other semi-final match we got Rhino versus Edge. So, by the way, Kurt Angle, won the previous year's King of the Ring tournament. He said he wants to become the first guy to win back-to-back King of the Ring tournaments. You know, that's not really true. There's one record stands to this day, and that is the guy known as Bret the Hitman Hart. You know, he won back-to-back King of the Ring tournaments in 1991 and 1993, even though one of them, you know, won it in a house show, one on pay-per-view, because if you're living under a rock, the King of the Ring, oh, not the Rock, but the King of the Ring tournament started in 1985, started in the mid-80s, carry on to the 90s, to the 2000s, still doing this to this day. Anyway, the match between Kurt Angle and Christian was a really good opener. Not great, but it was a good, solid opener, you know, between two like members of Team Rack. You know, it's good back and forth. By the way, this is the match when Kurt Angle suffered a concussion. I watched this and found which move that really triggered it. You know, I think like Kurt kind of like hit Christian with the German suplex. As the result of that, you know, I think he kind of hits his head on the mat at the same time. It kind of knocked him a little bit loopy. It's not on the same level as the triple threat match at SummerSlam the previous year. So anyway, so it's a good back and forth. You know, I think he kind of like I think Christian like Angle. I think you can try to get my words out. Christian kind of like Kurt Angle throwing Christian off the top rope. Anyway, I think like Angle hit like a moonsault. I don't know, Christian counted it or hit it, not too sure. Anyway, so yeah, Shane McMahon interfering, you know, by the way, you can say Kurt Angle's doing trio duty. Yeah, trio duty, because he's competing in this King of the Ring tournament, you know, competing and also he's facing Shane McMahon later on in tonight. I'm trying to say. Anyway, so I think Christian hit the Prettier onto Kurt Angle, but unfortunately, I think I think Shane kind of pulled Christian out of the ring or put his foot on the ropes. Anyway, so in the end, Kurt hit the Angle Slam onto Christian to win this match and advance into the the final of the 2001 King of the Ring tournament. So yeah. You know, it's just like this is like leading up to the match between the street fight between Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. We'll get to that later on. Moving on to the second semi-final match of the 2001 King of the Ring tournament. Edge taking on Rhino. This is a hard-hitting match. This is hard-hitting, to be fair. This was a really good match between Rhino and Edge. It was hard hitting, really big guys moving. You know, I feel like you had It's been a few days since I last watched this show. You know, I can't remember some spots and moments. But yeah, I feel like Rhino kind of shoved Edge into the he kind of exposed the middle turnbuckle pad, or the middle corner, the middle turnbuckle into that middle corner on the, I think it was the left or right side of the ring. It was so hard hitting, man. Like, kind of I think Rhino kind of shoved Edge onto the I think it's one of the barricade. I think Edge kind of like grabbed Rhino, shoved and dropped him onto the ring, like those like barricade, onto the other barricade near ringside. You know, both guys like going for like spears. Like, you know, Rhino called it the gore. So Rhino, you know, before that, I think Rhino hit like the Falcon Arrow. It could be a running power, just a normal power slam, but I'm hinting this is just a Falcon's Arrow. Yeah, I think it's similar to a Falcon's Arrow. But anyway, so Rhino was going for the gore. Edge trying to hit the gore of his own. I don't think he hit this spear at this moment in time in his career. But anyway, so they collided each other. No one bled because I think it was years ago. I watched like a YouTube clip of I think it was on Raw. I think it was during the draft. I think between Batista and Edge, both each other hit each other with spears and end up like colliding. That was nasty. Anyway, I feel like Edge kind of shoved Rhino into the middle corner. Hit the I think it was the Impaler or the Edge-O-Matic for the win. So Edge advanced into the finals of the 2001 King of the Ring tournament and faced Kurt Angle later on in the show. So yeah, it was a hard-hitting match. So moving on to the first championship match of the night, first of three, because you got the tag team title match. I'll get to that shortly. The European title, not European title, the light heavyweight title, more of that later on, and the triple threat match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, more of that later. So, anyway, so yeah, the next match, we got the tag team title match. Yeah, the match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The Dudleys defending the belt against Spike Dudley and his mysterious opponent. This is a rivalry revolve around Spike Dudley's relationship with Molly Holly. This is the writer of him because they've been feuding. The Dudleys versus the Hollys, you know. You had Spike taking the bullet every time. Like, I think there was one moment like the Dudleys trying to put Molly Holly through a middle into the table. You know, like Spike took the bullet of it. So anyway, he kind of like also had a mini feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'll get to that part when I get to the triple threat match on this show. So anyway, so it was announced on the Heat that he will challenge the Dudleys for the tag team titles and with it picking his mysterious opponent. Then you got like you had Spike and Molly there, got interviewed by, I think it was JR and Paul Heyman. I almost say JR and the King, but at this moment in time, Lawler's not with the company at that time. Anyway, so out comes the Dudleys, calling Spike a big disappointment. So yeah, the Dudleys defend the tag team titles against Spike and his mysterious opponent, and that his mysterious opponent is the Big Red Monster Kane. The match between the Dudleys versus Spike and Kane, it was fun. It was a decent match. Keep it short and simple. Trying to make Spike like this underdog, rooting, trying to believe that he could beat his kayfabe brothers for the tag team titles. By the way, they beat Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho for the tag team titles. I'll get to why they got the tag team titles when I get to the triple threat match later on in the show. Anyway, so I think it was a fun match. It was good for what it is, There's one spot, I think like Kane's grabbing Spike, trying to toss it. I think it was tossing it to... No, I'm lying. I think it was Kane he grabbed Spike, tossed it to Bubba Ray, and Bubba Ray, I think Bubba Ray kind of pushed it, try to like throw Spike into Kane, trying to make him fall over, but Kane's a bit taller. He managed to grab Spike perfectly. Then he threw it back to Bubba Ray, and this time for that spot, for like this kind of like assisted splash. Anyway, I feel like Devon did like a leg drop. I can't remember the spots a little bit, but I think he did like a Kane kind of throw Spike out of the ring onto the Dudleys. Yeah, it was a fun match. Spike hit like the Dudley dog. I think it was on Bubba Ray. He was about to do it on Devon, but Devon countered it. Both the Dudleys hit the 3D onto Spike for the win. And then afterwards, they're trying to put Spike through a table. Out comes Kane. Kane, very rare. Kane, like, hit, I think it was Bubba Ray or Devon with the powerbomb. It's very out of Kane's character. If you watch Kane over the years, he mostly does, a choke slam and the tombstone power driver, but never seemed hitting a powerbomb. Anyway, he kind of hit the other member of the Dudley Boys through a table to get his heat back. He kind of put Spike on his shoulders, and that was it. It was good. I don't see like Spike and Kane winning the tag team titles. Makes no sense, because the Dudleys just won the tag team titles, from on SmackDown. It just makes no sense them dropping it on a pay-per-view, because there's no build to this, even though it was just revolved around the relationship between Spike Dudley and Molly Holly, but yeah, it was kind of like added to the last minute. So moving on to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, we got Kurt Angle taking on Edge. Before that, like, when I feel like this was years ago, I can't remember, like, he did like a I think it's during Kurt Angle's podcast, he was talking about, King of the Ring 2001, about like he got concussed. I think he said like the next match against Edge, he ended up like forgetting the spots, But anyway, Kurt grabbed the mic, says to Edge, he's trying to like spare our friendship, he wants to let Kurt Angle win to have him, fresh up, like save his energy for his match against Shane McMahon. Edge has none of it. So the match between Edge and Angle, it was okay, it was decent, but I think they had better matches. They had that rivalry in 2002. I think their matches were a little bit better, but it was good for what it is. I feel like you had like Kurt kind of suplex Edge out of the ring. Like I think Edge was selling the ribs. Like after his match against Rhino. I think like Edge did like a hurricane run onto Kurt Angle. I think he did like I think it was a cradle. That was good, Like, so, yeah, there was a referee. Yeah, there was a referee bump. You had Angle locking the ankle lock onto Edge. Edge is tapping out. The referee's down. Then suddenly, yeah, before that you had Christian trying to interfere. I'll get to more of that a little bit shortly. But almost cost Edge the match, like I think he ended up rolling up Edge for the near fall. Anyway, so then you got Shane McMahon came out. It's the same situation, actually I don't recall the same situation, but like, what I'm saying, it's the same presence when he, like, from the opener, he kind of helped Kurt Angle to win the semi-final match against Christian in the opener. But this time around, not so much. He came out, speared Kurt Angle, and then Edge hit the, I think it was the Impaler or the Edge-O-Matic for the win. And Edge became the 2001 King of the Ring winner. And then, yeah, and then you got like a segment. I'll get to 2 segments. Actually, you had like, Christian says, I was trying to help you, something like that. We need to celebrate. Yeah, this is leading up to the breakup between Edge and Christian. Knowing that I said in my revisiting review of WrestleMania 17 that when they won the tag team titles in TLC 2, that would be the last great moment for Edge and Christian as a tag team in the company until. It's funny now, current timeline, they're a tag team once again. They're now the tag team titles in AEW, or tag team champions in AEW, I'm trying to say. Anyway, so it's like things haven't changed. So anyway, so afterwards, you had Kurt Angle pissed off. He's got like security guards, says, any WCW, by the way, the basically Shane is basically bringing back WCW, because Shane is the kayfabe owner of WCW, because he showed up on the final Nitro, and we'll get to more of that later on. I'll get to Invasion next month, but anyway, so he kind of says, like any WCW wrestler showing up, he just say arrest them, basically throw them out of the building, they'll be out of the business, the family will be in poverty, they'll be starving. Anyway, so it's not the last time we see Kurt on this show. Anyway, moving on to the next match. So the next match, this is for the Light Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Hardy taking on X-Pac, It's like I said earlier, because Matt Hardy, who was wrestled on Heat, the show before the pay-per-view kicks off, the Heat is, they did the Heat before King of the Ring started, defend and retain the European title against Just Incredible. You can tell, like, the Hardys kind of having this feud with X Factor. Anyway, so they were doing this storyline between the Hardys and Eddie Guerrero, but unfortunately, that storyline came in the ass grinding halt because Eddie was taken off on TV because he had an addiction, because he developed addiction of painkillers because of his accident he sustained in 1999. So, and then later on the year, he was sent to rehab, and then he suffered he got arrested. I think it was like a DWI, DUI, whatever, that led to Eddie Guerrero getting let go. You thought you're never going to see Eddie Guerrero ever again. Wrong. He came back the following year, and the rest is history. So anyway, so with Jeff Hardy, this is his first and only reign as the Light Heavyweight Champion. He beat Jerry Lynn for the title, and then you never see Jerry Lynn in the company ever again. Waste of time. Anyway, the match between him and X-Pac, so I think it's the weakest match of the night by far. He had some moments, like Jeff does his that splash off the barricade, but felt like the match between Jeff Hardy and X-Pac, that match belonged on TV, maybe a Raw or a SmackDown, but not on a pay-per-view you're spending money but to watch. Anyway, it was okay. I think I feel like X-Pac, countered Jeff Hardy's I think it was called the what's it called? Whisper of the Willow of the Wisp. I can't remember. It's kind of like this corkscrew splash or corkscrew moonsault he does. Anyway, it was X-Pac doing the Abominable Stretch. Anyway, so in the end, you thought X-Pac won this match, won the Light Heavyweight Championship. He hit Jeff Hardy with the X Factor, but Jeff Hardy's legs was on the ropes. So, you thought, like, he tells X-Pac his foot on the rope. So, in the end, Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton Bomb. I think he hit the Twister... I think it's the Twister Fair and the Swanton Bomb for the win. And that was it. So, yeah. The Light Heavyweight Championship, they never get too flying fucks about it, Yeah, they brought it in for, trying to capitalize on WCW's Cruiserweight division. But, they give because most of the title defense was defended on Raw and SmackDown, maybe some Heat, but not on a pay-per-view. I think it was like 1998 when Taka Michinoku was the champion. But besides that, man, they just do, like I said, they do not care about the light heavyweight title. So moving on to the second and last match of the night. This is a street fight. You got Kurt Angle taking on Shane McMahon. So this was after like Kurt Angle's rivalry with Chris Benoit came to an end. You know, they had that 2-hour-free painful match at Judgment Day. After Kurt Angle won back the Olympic gold medals, after like Benoit shifted the gold medals down his tights. So anyway, Kurt Angle kind of trying to reenact the gold medal, a gold medals ceremony. You know what they did in 1996. You know, you had that on Raw. You had he's on the top of the podium. You got the confetti. You know, reenact his gold medal award ceremony. Like I said, out comes Shane McMahon. He called him a wuss, and afterwards, you know, you had Kurt Angle kind of angle slam Shane McMahon off the podium into the pile of confetti. Because anyway, he said like he's bringing back WCW. You know, I'll get to more of that. You know. And also bringing wrestlers from WCW, you know, like guys like Lance Storm and Hugh Morris and Stacy Keibler. They play a massive. They're kind of like the building blocks of the Invasion storyline. Like I said, we'll get to Invasion later on. Well, not later on, but next month. I'm trying to say. Anyway, there was before that. You know, I feel like there was the sign says Fully Loaded coming back, but it wasn't. You know. Fully Loaded is coming next month, but unfortunately it's not. Anyway, so this is technically the match of the night. You know, it was a bit like fucking some moments were sloppy, like Shane McMahon basically locking Kurt Angle with the ankle lock. You know, that one looks crap. And the sharpshooter, you know, you had like I think Kurt suffered like some cuts, you know. Yeah, he was bleeding like in the eyebrow, forehead area. You know, I'm guessing like Shane got to hit Kurt with some stiff punches, you know. Like Kurt, like I said, he suffered a concussion in the first match. Then Shane McMahon kind of like suplex Kurt onto the floor. And Kurt Angle injured his tailbone. So anyway, like Kurt is fucked at this match. You know, he's fucked. You know, he's suffered a concussion. He's bleeding in the eye, forehead area, and also he suffered an injured tailbone or fractured tailbone or broken tailbone. It's the same thing. Anyway, so here's the coup de grace of this match. People talk about to this day. You know, before that, you know, I feel like Kurt Angle, I think he tripped on Shane or the lights wire. Here's the coup de grace. So Kurt trying to suplex Shane into those King of the Ring glass panels, but this time it didn't. It didn't budge, and Shane completely dropped. He kind of completely dropped Shane on his head. He did it for the second time, but it managed to break. And before we get to the rest of the match, you know, it was originally supposed to be like sugar cane. I think it was sugar cane. Not sugar cane. What I'm trying to say, sugar glass panels. Well, yeah, the glass is supposed to be made out of sugar glass, but they can't stand the pyro. But the pyro guy or the prop guys kind of like change up the glass panels, and he didn't tell Shane and Kurt Angle about this. So wow, that's gotta be. I don't know whether it's in Botchamania. You know, it's just like wow. It's hard to watch. You know, seeing like Kurt did the suplex. The glass did not break, and he kind of dropped Shane on his head. You know, and by the way, he's trying to do it again inside of the panels with the second one. He did it on 2 attempts, couldn't do it. Once again, twice, dropped Shane on his head. And then suddenly he just like smashed the other panel, glass panel, and then he kind of like carried Shane into those, what's it called, these equipment crates. And wow, like Shane is fucked, Kurt Angle's fucked, They're both covered in blood. And you thought like Shane, man, God, you thought like Shane got knocked out. I think he said in his kayfabe interview, you thought Shane got actually knocked out, but I think he did. He looked groggy. Wow, fucking hell, man. It's just like, wow. Anyway, so I think he hit. Before that, I think he did like before. This is before the situation with the glass panels. I think like Shane hit like Kurt Angle. He's trying to hit Kurt Angle with the shooting star press, but unfortunately with the trash can. But I think he kind of throw the trash can in the last minute, you know. But anyway, so I'm trying to keep it short and simple. Did he? I think he hit with it. I think Shane hit the ankle slam for the near fall. I might be wrong. Anyway, so in the end, Kurt did like a super angle slam onto Shane. He got like a piece of wood, place it onto on the top rope. You had who's the referee? Is it Kyoto or Hebner? I'm not too sure. One of the referees. But anyway, so you know, the referee kind of hold the wood, plank of wood. Wow, Kurt trying to not suplex, but angle slam Shane off the top rope. He did that. In the end, Kurt Angle won this match, you know, and got his revenge on Shane. And yeah, so yeah, it was a really good match, you know. Very hard to get, you know. It's kind of like, you know, it's very hard to say. This was a really good match, you know. They like it's similar to Mankind and The Rock at the 1999 Royal Rumble match, you know, not Royal Rumble match, but at the I Quit match at the Royal Rumble in 1999, when The Rock just decking Mankind over the head with the chairs. You know, it brings that intensity, you know, like, and also, you know, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19 when Brock botched the shooting star press, you know. You know, it's really like, oh man, it's just like, wow. It's not bad. It's kind of like a good and bad match, you know, because sometimes it has some sloppy moments, but it was I say match of the night. It wasn't really that bad, but it was still a good match. You know, people talk about it to this day. Famously, Vince McMahon, who's not really, he's in the show, he's at the show, but not really booked on the show. Almost break character. I think it was at Gorilla Precision, about to leave his area and basically trying to stop this match for the sake of his son, because Shane felt like he's not got badly hurt. He felt like he never got his neck broken or concussion or even dead, man. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. You know, it's just like, yeah, you know, it's just like some of these moments, like, they are hard to get through, but still a good match, you know. Anyway, moving on to the main event. The main event, we got the triple threat match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Stone Cold Steve Austin defending the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. So it started at the Raw after Judgment Day. Benoit and Jericho, you know, they kind of like put their differences aside after they had that rivalry in the year 2000. Won a gauntlet match at Judgment Day to get a shot at the tag team titles. Then the Raw after Judgment Day, they had the match between Benoit and Jericho against Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 2-man power trip. Anyway, so like, by the way, the original idea for they're supposed to have 2 matches against the 2 Chris's against the 2-man power trip. I think it was supposed to be Triple H versus Jericho or Benoit, and Austin versus Benoit or Jericho. But the Raw after Judgment Day, Benoit and Jericho taking on the 2-man power trip. It was you know, they won the tag team titles. I'm talking about like both Jericho and Benoit. It was on that same night that Triple H legitimately torn his quad muscle. I think he was like, I don't know what he did. I think like Benoit, I think Jericho locking the walls of Jericho onto Austin. Triple H broke up the pinfall. Unfortunately, planted his foot, and there we go. He ended up torn his quad muscle, and then he continued to compete in this match. And then I think Jericho locking the walls of Jericho onto Triple H on the announce desk. Anyway, so Jericho and Benoit, the new tag team titles, beat the two-man power trip. The plans completely changed because Triple H suffered an injury. He was out until the end of the year. You won't see Triple H again until January of 2002. That led him to win the 2002 Royal Rumble and went on to become the Undisputed Champion at WrestleMania 18. So anyway, those plans are scrap because Austin was bragging like he's going to beat Jericho and Benoit at the same time. So anyway, and also here's one kicker about this. Benoit got injured after that match when Triple H torn his quad. He suffered a neck injury on SmackDown in the forgotten TLC 3. I think he botched. I don't know what caused it. It must be a botched. I think he missed the table somewhere. I think it was something to do with the table. So maybe it's due to his intensity. You had Austin beat both Jericho and Benoit in separate matches. One of them is the Raw in Calgary. I think it was in Calgary when Austin locking the crossface. Vince McMahon did the whole Montreal screw job. I think there was rumors at the time because the Hart family attend this Raw because it's funny the Hart family had done they don't want to do anything with the company because of the ever since in the 90s, so in those late 90s, the Montreal screw job at Survivor Series 97 and also the death of Owen Hart. So anyway, and also they had a tag team match, Benoit and Jericho taking on Vince and Stone Cold. And then you had Linda McMahon and Mick Foley announce that Austin is defending the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Anyway, and also he picked a feud with Spike Dudley because Austin did the he became more paranoid and unhinged. Attacking Benoit. He was attacking Tajiri, attacking Chris Jericho while he's getting medical treatment. Whacking Benoit in a steel cage with the chair. So anyway, so he did his petition to basically trying to get him out of the triple threat match at King of the Ring. He asked Spike to sign it, and Austin kind of shot himself in the foot, calling Molly Holly a bimbo. That makes Spike Dudley basically angry because he's standing up for Molly and ripped the fucking petition. And I think he beat him on a SmackDown with the crossface. So anyway, so Austin basically cost Benoit and Jericho the tag team titles to the Dudleys on SmackDown. And also, like I said, when he sees unhinged and paranoid, he went on to attack Michael Cole because at the time he was still a commentator. He's not the character. That'll be a decade later. So he beat him up because he called Vince McMahon the devil. And also Austin giving Vince an ultimatum. It's between him and Linda because at the time Vince was doing his storyline with Linda, the whole divorce angle, because ever since Vince cheated on he cheated Linda for Trish Stratus, Anyway, so Vince gave an ultimatum. This is on the Go Home SmackDown. He gave Austin his own ultimatum. He won't be at the show, even though he's there. He's there at the show, but not booked on the show. He said to Austin that if he's not walking out, leaving King of the Ring as the World Wrestling Federation Champion, his partnership with him and Vince McMahon is finished. It's done. Finito. I'm not going to go in. I don't want to go in too much about this. If you got Netflix and watch the show, watch this match, man. It's a really good match. It's very hard to say match of the night. I go with like Shane versus Kurt Angle, but this was a really good match between Stone Cold Steve Austin, Jericho, and Benoit. You know, like you had Benoit and Jericho like ganging up on Austin, fighting in the crowd. One moment it's like you had like one moment it's Austin versus Benoit, Austin versus Jericho, and also Jericho versus Benoit. Continue their rivalry they had since WrestleMania 16. You know, fighting over the Eurocontinental Championship. You know, they fought over the for the rivalry they had in 2000 and a little bit in the early parts of 2001. Continue there. You know. Anyway, I try to keep it short and simple, guys. You know, it was 27 minutes. It was good back and forth. And also we got a debut of another WCW World Champion, Booker T. Like DDP, this is Booker T's first appearance. This is Booker T's first appearance in a mainstream wrestling company since the final Nitro. He showed up, I think he decked Austin with the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and slammed him into the announce desk, legitimately breaking his hand in the process, you know. And it's really a shame they never did, like, I don't think they really had a pay-per-view match. It's funny, they kind of viewed in 2001, like in the summer of 2001, and going in, you know, late 2001, early 2002, famously they fought in a supermarket and the church, you know, but that's another story for another time. But anyway, so Booker T got scored by the security guards, you know. It's a good back and forth, man. I can't remember why. Like it's been a few days since I watched the show. Anyway, so I feel like I'm gonna say by like Chris, he's still competing in the higher level, even though he suffered like a broken neck, you know. Anyway, so try to keep it short and simple. In the end, I think it was Benoit and Jericho. One of them kind of suplexed each other off the top rope. Austin just basically, instead of like hitting, I don't think he hit a single I don't think Austin hit like a single stunner in this match. I don't know. So Benoit or Jericho suplex each other off the top rope. Austin I think he pins Benoit for this match, for the win, retains the WWF Championship, and that was it. So yeah. And also they do this whole story, they do it like throughout the show. I feel like throughout the show they're kind of like hinting that, you know, both Jericho and Benoit end up going to WCW, defecting to WCW, even though like in kayfabe, I'll get to more of that when I review Invasion, but it's a bunch of bollocks, you know. So anyway, so this was Benoit's final pay-per-view match of 2001. Like I said, he'll take some time off. I think he ended up getting neck surgery. He ended up fusioning up his neck. It's the same fusion that like Austin has and also Edge has. You know, he ended up breaking his neck, you know. And that's the biggest blow because first off, you lost 4. You lost 4 stars, knowing that the company's gonna have one of the biggest storylines of the year. Like Triple H is out with an injury, torn his quad. Benoit is gonna take some time off, repairing his neck. Both Eddie Guerrero and Chyna will soon get one foot out of the door with the company at the end of the year. So yeah, for the biggest storyline of the year, it'd be a big blow on the WWF side, losing your stars. Looking forward to the biggest storyline of the year. You know this. You know this show. You can tackle this show. Like I said, I think this show is basically, you know, is beginning of the biggest storyline of the year, the Invasion. So yeah, Austin winning. I think it's for the best, man. I think like Benoit, you know, like Benoit and Jericho. I think they're not quite ready yet, you know. But I think it's the first. I think it's the first pay-per-view main event that Jericho main evented. That's really cool, you know. I think he passed the test with ease. So, my overall rating of King of the Ring 2001 is a 9 out of 10. This was a solid show. I call it the last pay-per-view before the Invasion storyline kicks off. And shocking to me, there is no like bad matches on the show. Not a single one. The matches were solid. Like, they're kind of like good to great matches. They're about like technically 3 stars to 4 stars matches. The 2 matches stands out has to be the main event, the triple threat match between Austin, Benoit, and Jericho. The match of the night has to be Shane McMahon versus Kurt Angle, despite of the pixie glass like spot, but people talk about to this day. It's still an awesome match to watch. The King of the Ring tournament matches, I think they did deliver. Edge, is the 2001 King of the Ring winner. Yeah, it's too soon to like put like the world title belt on Edge. At this moment in time, he's still a tag team guy, but that's another story for another time. The tag team title match between the Dudleys and Kane and Spike Dudley. That was also decent to watch. The only thing I put in the bad has to be the DDP treatment. The whole situation between Undertaker and DDP. Seeing it's so one-sided, and I think some of the stuff belong on TV, weekly TV, not on a pay-per-view. So anyway, so what's your thoughts on King of the Ring 2001 and also this video? Please leave your thoughts on the comment section below. Smash that button, click the like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube, be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. Next time, let's travel forward to the Ruthless Aggression era. Last year I reviewed the 2005 ECW One Night Stand show. Let's do the sequel, the 2006 One Night Stand show. The kicking off of ECW as the third brand. You had John Cena versus Rob Van Dam, Rey Mysterio versus Sabu, and also Edge and Mick Foley taking on Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk. That will be next time. Until then, this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.